One of the world's most advanced fighter jets, the F-35, has undergone a major upgrade and will soon enter service. Why is this update necessary, and what will it change? Watch to the end to find out. The aircraft we know today as the F-35 was built to meet the demands of multiple fighting forces with a single, highly capable aircraft. This new Joint Strike Fighter, Pentagon officials believed, would allow for streamlined logistical supply lines, maintenance, and training. It would also leverage the same stealth technologies found in the F-22. With a laundry list of requirements from the US Navy, Air Force, DARPA, and soon the UK and Canada, the Joint Strike Fighter program quickly moved from its official proposal in 1995 to two competitive prototypes in 1997, Lockheed Martin's X-35 and Boeing's X-32. And the new fighter had its work cut out for it. The Joint Strike Fighter needed to replace at least 5 different aircraft across all the different services, including the high-speed interceptor F-14 Tomcat and the tank-killing close air support A-10 Thunderbolt II. While replacing all these aircraft with one plane would theoretically save money, the long list of requirements led to a landslide of expensive complications. In fact, while the X-35 was still competing for the contract, many weren't sure such an aircraft could even be built in significant numbers. While both prototypes performed well, the deciding factor in the competition may have been the F-35's complicated short takeoff and vertical landing (SOVL) flight. Because the US Marine Corps intended to use this new plane as a replacement for the AV-8B Harrier jump jets, America's new stealth fighter had to be able to fill the same vertical landing, short takeoff role. The lift fan design used in the X-35 connected the engine at the back of the aircraft to a drive shaft that would power a large fan installed in the aircraft's fuselage behind the pilot. When hovering, the F-35 would orient its engine downward, not unlike the X-32, but it would also pull air from above the aircraft and force it down through the fan and out the bottom, creating two balanced sources of thrust that made the aircraft far more stable. It also helped the F-35 notch a win in the looks category. You can look at the Lockheed Martin airplane and say, that looks like what I would expect a modern, high-performance, high-capable jet fighter to look like, Lockheed Martin engineer Rick Rezebeck says in a PBS Nova episode. You look at the Boeing airplane, and the general reaction is, I don't get it. Ultimately, Lockheed Martin won out over Boeing's unusual-looking X-32 prototype in October of 2001. The future looked bright for the newly named F-35. There was just one problem: jamming all the necessary hardware for the different variants into a single fuselage proved extremely difficult. By the time Lockheed Martin wrapped up design work on the F-35A and got to work on the B, they realized the weight estimates they had established while designing the Air Force variant would lead to an aircraft that was 3,000 pounds too heavy. This miscalculation created a significant setback, the first of many. Lockheed Martin's bad arithmetic in the weight category stretched early development by 18 months and cost a daunting $6.2 billion to correct. But it was just the first of many issues to plague the new Joint Strike Fighter. It wouldn't be until February of 2006, 5 years after Lockheed won the contract, that the first F-35A would roll off the assembly line. But these early F-35s weren't even ready to fight because the Pentagon had chosen to begin production before they had completed testing. By 2010, 9 years after Lockheed Martin was awarded the JSF contract, the cost per F-35 had ballooned to over 89% higher than initial estimates. It would still be another 8 years before the first operational F-35s would get into the fight. So what really separates the pricey F-35 from the fighter jets that have come before it? 2 words: data management. Today's pilots have to manage a huge amount of information while flying, and doing so means splitting your time between traveling the speed of sound and a collage of screens, gauges, and sensor readouts screaming for your attention. Unlike previous fighter jets, the F-35 uses a combination of a heads-up display and helmet-based augmented reality to keep vital information directly in the pilot's field of view. In the F-16, each sensor was tied to a different screen. Often the sensors would show contradictory information, says Major Justin Hassard-Lee, an Air Force F-35 pilot instructor. The F-35 fuses everything into a green dot if it's a good guy and a red dot if it's a bad guy. It's very pilot-friendly. All the information is shown on a panoramic cockpit display that is essentially two giant iPads. It's not just how the information reaches the pilot, but also how it's collected. The F-35 is capable of gathering information from a wide variety of sensors located on the aircraft and from information sourced from ground vehicles, drones, other aircraft, and nearby ships. It collects all of that information, as well as network-driven data about targets and nearby threats, and spits it all out into a single interface the pilot can easily manage while flying. With a God's eye view of the area, F-35 pilots can coordinate efforts with fourth-generation aircraft, making them deadlier in the process. All of that information may sound daunting, but for fighter pilots who've experienced the demanding task of compiling information from a dozen different screens and gauges, the F-35's user interface is nothing short of miraculous. Add to that incredible stealth technology and the ability to reach speeds of up to Mach 1.6, and you have a truly remarkable aircraft. But even the most advanced technology needs updating, and the F-35 is no exception. Known as Technology Refresh 3, the update paves the way for a suite of new capabilities known as Block 4 that will keep the fighter competitive with other emerging fifth-generation jets. Most of the world's F-35s will receive the update, replacing older technology from the 2010s, a key stage in the fighter's evolutionary timeline. The F-35 is often referred to as a flying computer because it uses a central computer system to control all aspects of the aircraft. The computer system handles the radar, the electro-optical surveillance system known as the DAS, the pilot interface and avionics, weapons, electronic warfare, and even the engines. However, like all computers, the F-35's computing backbone has begun to show its age, preventing newer, more sophisticated features from being added. Technology Refresh 3 is essentially a major hardware and software upgrade for the F-35. It replaces the aircraft's core processor, which the U.S. Government Accountability Office describes as the one that processes data for every mission, with a new version that has 16 times the processing power and 4.5 times the memory. TR-3 also replaces the aircraft's memory system with a new version that can store 20 times as much data. Probably the most visible improvement to pilots will be the panoramic cockpit display electronics unit. Like a Tesla or other luxury electric car, the F-35 will feature an 8 by 20-inch LCD that will give the pilot access to key data and controls while in flight. This panoramic cockpit display includes a touchscreen and is said to be able to withstand a puncture or crack and still be usable. The PCDEU is a hardware update behind the display that increases processing power by 8 times and memory by 12 times. The TR-3's increased processing power will set the stage for Block 4, a new suite of capabilities for the entire F-35 fleet. According to some sources, Block 4 is largely a software upgrade designed to run on new TR-3 hardware that will bring 53 improvements to the jet. The only expected hardware changes will be to the weapons bay to physically accommodate new weapons and new cooling hardware to prevent the computer system from overheating. As a result, the F-35 won't change its external appearance, an action that would negatively affect its carefully crafted stealth profile. Block 4 will deliver improvements in both air-to-air and air-to-surface missions. The upgrade will increase the performance of the distributed aperture system, a set of 6 infrared cameras positioned in all directions around the F-35, allowing the pilot to see through the jet below and even pick up the telltale launch plume of a nearby ballistic missile on the ground. The increased computing power will benefit the existing APG-81 radar system, which allows the F-35 to detect targets in the air and on the ground, and to jam enemy radar systems, but will also allow the installation of the newly developed APG-85 radar, which is designed to replace the APG-81. The current F-35 fighter is a bit limited in terms of weapons, at least compared to other fighters. At present, the F-35 can carry the AIM-9X Sidewinder infrared-guided air-to-air missile, the longer-range AIM-120 AIMRAAM radar-guided missile, the GBU-31 2,000-pound GPS-guided smart bomb, the GBU-32 1,000-pound GPS-guided bomb, and the GBU-12 500-pound laser-guided bomb. In particular, the current version of the F-35 lacks the ability to conduct long-range standoff attacks. Block 4 will also allow the F-35 to carry a whole new suite of weapons, including the 575-mile range JASSM-ER land attack cruise missile, the Navy's Joint Standoff Weapon C-1, and the Norwegian Joint Strike Missile. The fighter will also carry the GBU-53B Stormbreaker short-range, all-weather guided bomb. Block 4 will also add the F-35's ultimate firepower capability, the ability to carry the B-6112 thermonuclear gravity bomb. Unlike its predecessors, the F-35 will receive planned upgrades throughout its service life to keep it combat-ready for the next 30 years. Of course, these updates will cost money, but it's reassuring to know that there's a plan in place to keep America's $1.7 trillion investment relevant for decades to come, and that an F-35 going to war in 2040 will be going to war with 2040 technology, not 2010. However, the F-35 has not been without its controversies. The aircraft has been plagued by cost overruns and delays, and some critics have argued that it is too expensive and complex to be an effective fighter. There have also been concerns about the aircraft's reliability and ability to perform in combat situations. The Block 4 upgrade was previously expected sometime between April and June 2024, after slipping past an original target of fielding the aircraft by April 2023. Despite these criticisms, the F-35 Lightning II represents the pinnacle of modern military aviation, offering unmatched capabilities and versatility to meet the challenges of the 21st century battlefield. With its advanced stealth technology, state-of-the-art avionics, and continuous upgrades, the F-35 will remain at the forefront of air superiority for decades to come. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay in touch. And thank you for watching.